they're test, test, test. Chief didn't answer, so he's not here. I didn't know if Brian's, what, you want to start without him, or he's not part of this? Let me see.
No, he might not be coming. Just let me know and I'll begin.
Oh, okay. Come around either way. Okay. Let me sit down.
Are we all ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Village of Walton Hills Safety and Insurance Committee meeting. This Tuesday, June 7th, 2022, and it is 5:34 p.m. And this meeting is being live streamed, so you should be able to see us. I am the chair, Mary Brenner Miller, and our committee members are Jennifer Allen and Raymond Whedon. So I'm calling the meeting to order. And the first item I have on the agenda is a safety report from our chief, Stan Jaworski. He writes that officers are still attending the 2022 continuing professional training hours at different locations. Instructors are from the North Coast Polytechnic Institute. Yearly recertifications for tasers and less lethal munitions beanbag deployment were done on station. Officers responded to a northern Hazard for mutual aid. Male reported he was shot in the leg. After speaking to the victim, he admitted he was pulling the gun out of his waistband belt area when the gun accidentally discharged, striking him in the leg. Charges are pending in Oakwood. And that's what I have in regards to the safety report from Chief Stan Jaworski. There's nothing on the agenda, but I did want to give a synopsis regarding the insurance that we just passed. And that was back in April. We had the two representatives from Oswald Company who represents us for our health insurance. And I'm just going to read the synopsis that was given to Angela in regards to what we passed and what's happening in the market. Based on the renewal that came through with Anthem, you are looking at a 7.78% increase for 5/1/2022. Your renewal is below small group trend of 10 to 12%. We did discuss Forum Fire and taking your group out to market, but we recommend for this year to stay with Anthem as they are marketing for small groups, as the marketing for small groups is not favorable for our MMO. Aetna, UHC, or Cigna at this point to disrupt the employee benefits. The marketing we have been getting back is 1 to 2% difference from the renewal, which is not significant enough, again, to disrupt the employees' plans, especially their RX. Your renewal is about $2,400 cost difference per month. The renewals for 2022 have been mostly double digits, 10% or more, due to increased utilization. 7.78%, which is still an increase, is in the lower of the renewals. We can revisit after January 1st, 2023 to see what the rates are as small group rates are filed with the DOI. That's the Department of Insurance. We will continue to educate on the RX programs as well as consumerism on the Anthem plans so the EEs are getting the best benefit, the employees for the lowest cost we can find. So that's what's happening on the insurance side. And then For other business, if you have something to say in regard to the safety report or the insurance. You had mentioned something about the conceal and carry, the new law going into effect on the 13th. Was there something you wanted to add, Mr. Whedon?
Madam Chair, before we get to that, I just have a question regarding the last report you read on the memo regarding
Okay.
the health care insurance and although the 7.78%, I think you said was the increase.
7.78, yeah.
Yeah, which is below the 10 to 12, kind of like what others may have been.
Lower.
And I think you said that's due to increased utilization. My question is just for conversation's sake, is this kind of twofold, how often does Walton Hills, and how often do we actually take a look at the plan design, what's actually the level of benefits, the participation from all of those who are eligible to participate? How often do we take a look at plan design?
I believe it's done every year. I wish Angela were here. I think she could address it even better than I can. I think most employees take insurance, and when you are hired, if you do not want the plan, the insurance plan, you also have to sign a document. I know that from what I do. So, and what it is, when you hire a broker such as Oswald, it is their job to make sure they compare the apples to apples and oranges to oranges. If they move you to another plan, they're going to say to you, this can be a better premium, but your RX is going to go up 20%. That's why the comment in there, especially for the RX, and they're feeling at this point not to move us or not to move the village insurance because it was going to disrupt the coverage that's already in force. And these people are used to it. Now, payments might be higher, but at this point, like she said, let's revisit this next year. About 4 months out, you start reviewing the policy. And that review will take place with Oswald, with Angela, the mayor, probably myself, and or anyone else for that matter who wants to be involved. But then they shop it. That's what their job is. And they can give you the comparisons of what the coverages are and the costs, benefits. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, that does. That answers my question. But in addition, so when we're looking at things like cost to the village, cost to the employee.
That's all done by Angela. She breaks all that out. I remember she was here talking to us when Oswald came about the presentation, how much more it costs the employees and things of that nature. I don't know if it was that way where you work, but it is by me. If the costs go up, we are also affected. That some of it we have to carry the burden of, and some of it my employer carries. So that's the normal way of doing business, but Angela gave the breakdown. She would have those numbers, I should say. Can't say for sure she gave the breakdown, but she knows all that.
Okay, so we'll take a look 4 months out or so.
In January. I mean, she's gonna have to do that now because the renewal happened on May 1st. But by January, you're gonna start thinking about the renewal for May already, because that's normally happens in insurance, is that you begin a renewal at least 3 months out. Because you have to get all the loss information, you have to see how the employees, have you gained employees, have you lost employees? There's all kinds of different information that goes into the final quote. And so you have to get up to speed from this year or the new year from last year, and a lot goes into it, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Well, my other, go ahead. No, you were there. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna add to that, that the broker does come in here besides field questions from the employees relating to their policy. They help them along the way. They might have, maybe they're trying to go through Anthem and they're getting the results they want or the answers. The advantage they have having the broker, they'll they're able to contact them and maybe they can find a different route or maybe they have the answer. So they get a lot of feedback from the employees, whether they're happy with the program. I know there was some things in the last, when we made the switch with prescriptions and stuff. But now, like the broker said from Oswald, they were very comfortable. The employees seemed pretty happy where they're at. And so they weren't looking for a switch away from Anthem. Maybe if they could have got a better price from someone, but they didn't want to go out of the system they were at because it seemed overall the employees were satisfied.
Another comment, Madam Chair, when you were giving the police chief's report, and you mentioned the incident up the road at Northern Hazard, which did, for those who may not have seen some of the activity, it did end up with mutual service from Walton Hills, Village of Northfield, as well as Oakwood. I don't know if Macedonia responded as well, but it was a pretty dramatic scene up there. I just happened to be driving through, and you mentioned the gentleman who had the weapon. It just makes me wonder, as the state of Ohio is moving toward constitutional carry, effective June 13th, is there a role for the village and safety director or chief of police to issue some kind of notification to our residents what the new law actually means? I don't know that situation. I have no idea why that gentleman had what he had. Don't know. But with the new law, of course, it's a major change in the fact that any Ohio resident over the age of 18 who is legally authorized to carry, and that's the key, legally authorized to carry a handgun, may do so concealed with training and all of that. That's what it is now, but that goes away effective June 13th. And, who knows who may decide, okay, it's June 13th, I can start carrying. Well, it's not that simple. There's still qualifications. People still have to be qualified legally to be able to carry that weapon. And my concern is more so as it relates to the public facilities, especially this building and all of our public facilities here in Walton Hills, that we don't just by happenstance, people just think they can just do whatever they want to do. So my question is, for conversation, is there a educational role or informational role that the village should embark upon to just make sure people understand that, yeah, there's a new law, but there's still, it's not just just do your own thing kind of a thing. That's what my question was. And if there was anything we need to do with the existing codified ordinances in the village regarding firearms.
Well, Mr. Whedon, I had not planned on putting anything out. I did go online. There are things online that people can read as far as what the new ordinance dictates. I have a quick synopsis that I can read now of how the law changes Ohio concealed and carried. And I'll just read through that. The CHLs will be optional, meaning Ohio currently must obtain a concealed handgun license, which is the CHL, which requires undergoing firearm safety training, taking an exam, and applying for a license with the local sheriff's office. Ohio will still offer CHL licensing to anyone who wants it, but it won't be mandatory, and those who obtain the CHL won't be legally required to carry their license. 2, law applies to qualifying adults. The rules for concealed carry in Ohio without a license are the same as concealed carry with a license. That is, you must be at least 21, not be charged with or convicted of a felony, or prohibited from possessing a firearm for any other reason under the state or federal law, and meet other qualifications set forth by the Ohio Attorney General. However, if you have a sealed criminal record, the information in that record cannot disqualify you. 3, no requirement to promptly inform. Once the new law goes into force, any Ohioan who is stopped by law enforcement and carrying a concealed handgun will not have to promptly inform the officer about the gun, as it is presently the case. They will only need to inform an officer who asks whether they are carrying a handgun, and only the first officer who asks, not every subsequent officer you encounter, which is currently required. Number 4, law applies in Ohio only. Ohio's concealed carry law applies only in Ohio. Residents must obey the firearm laws of other states when crossing state lines, which could mean a conceal and carry license is necessary. 5, no residency requirement. The law does not have a residency requirement, so anyone who is in Ohio, resident or not, can conceal carry without a license. 6, law applies only to handguns. Ohio's new permitless carry law applies to handguns only. It does not apply to long guns, rifles, shotguns. 7, no changes in legal concealed carry locations. Federal law still requires a conceal and carry license to keep a concealed gun in your car or in a school zone. Otherwise, the law does not make changes to carry zones and no carry zones. Property owners retain the right to ban firearms on their premises. So those are the changes. This can be found online. So that's what we have. That's what the state has put out.
Okay.
As far as comparing the prior to the current that's coming up. So, where are we now? Is there any other questions on there?
Nothing online right now.
Okay. Any other business?
I did have one more item. This is be for the safety director, and whether or not he can elaborate on as we are moving further into the demolition of the former Ford site. I know we had talked in council meeting regarding the traffic flow, the construction traffic, and we were all kind of thinking that traffic is going either Northville Road or Route 8 or east on Alexander, just inquiring for safety's sake whether or not we have any other indication that construction traffic will not be moving through the residential district of Walton Hills, primarily talking west on Alexander Road toward, to get to Interstate 77.
Mr. Weed and I have not been given any information on that. Otherwise, I'm sure I would have at least read that. So nothing has come across, I believe, the mayor's desk. Yeah, well, he knows. I don't.
Yeah, that's why I kind of
Yeah,
directed it to the
no,
safety
I don't
director.
know at this point, so.
Right.
Anything else? Please, Mr. Mayor.
They're setting up the truck routes now. There will be signage and different things because it really concerns. The reason for that is they want their contractors that they use, because not only do they use their own employees, they do use subcontractors to do some of the hauling of the material. So they want them to take the correct route, not go down a route that wasn't part of that plan and say, oh, I didn't know. So when I get more details to that, and they also are going to activate the railroad and take a lot of that material. So we'll probably post something when we get the final details. There was some talk about it this afternoon, but I haven't looked at it fully because it just came through an hour or so ago. But it's going to be happening because they're starting to take the material down and separate it and pile it, and they're going to start wanting to remove it. So, but I'll keep everybody posted on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anything? Any
Not online, but Madam Chairwoman, I had a question.
Sure.
In regards to the insurance, I don't even know if this is possible, but is there a way that the broker could make us part of a consortium like we do with the trash, so that there's more
I know what you're
employees?
saying.
You know, like if we joined Bedford as a group, or Valley View or something, you know, to get a possible better rate? Just something that I thought maybe we could look into in the future.
It's a good question. From my years of sitting next to the people who actually did the health insurance, I don't know if they can do that. I'm not, I don't know. I've never seen it happen. Doesn't mean it can't happen. I don't know. We'd have to ask, but, well, that was, I was thinking the Ohio plan, but wasn't that the property and casualty in lieu of the health insurance?
No, I mean, our plan before that was very similar.
It had a consortium. But not on a private, I don't believe the private sector companies, insurance companies do that. Maybe like the Ohio plan. The only other, well, it's a monopolistic, is the Ohio Workers' Compensation. That is not through like any one insurance company. If you work in Pittsburgh and you live in PA, you would have an option to shop your workers' compensation. You don't have that option in Ohio. You have one vehicle, and that is the Ohio Workers' Compensation Bureau. That's it. So, but that's not the same thing you're asking. I don't know. We can certainly ask.
Sure, I just thought, you know, like I said, I was just
Doesn't
thinking like
hurt.
Valley View or something, you know, like a couple of us
Smaller ones.
smaller
Make
ones
it-
got together,
it's
maybe
always-
that could make a difference.
Better with large numbers. Usually it's better with large numbers, yes. Well, I'll write that down and ask Angela, because I don't even know where I could call the Oswald representative. Anyone else? Sure.
I don't know if you just wanted to talk about that we passed an ordinance 2022-6, reaffirming the
Oh, the fire, I
ordinance,
meant to,
chapter 678, fireworks.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I had written that down and I had it on another piece of paper. Yes, to let the villagers know, we might say reinstitute the ordinance already in place about the prohibition of discharging fireworks in the village. So everything is going to remain status quo here regarding fireworks. Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman, I believe we did include a small line about that in the owl too,
Okay.
so residents would know.
Oh, good.
And then journal, you can see it in the journal.
Yes. Perfect. Well, with that being said, and there are no other questions, I'd like to ask for adjournment at 5:56 of the Safety and Insurance Committee meeting of June 7th, 2022. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Brian, I end the stream on the YouTube video, correct? And then stop streaming on the other screen. I'm not hitting anything yet until he gets here, because he was usually the one doing it, so it's been a while since I
Because I know that it's
do that one first, not this one.